One of the unique qualities that I have as a personal financial coach is that I am more focused on your behaviors, your habits, and your mindset than I am on the numbers. So the numbers are just as important as your behavior, your mindset, and your habits. But the difference is that you can deal with numbers easy once the first part is on point. One of the things that I will say that the finance industry did not account for and doesn't really account for is this first part, is the habits, the mindset and the behaviors. So there's a lot of things that we've been taught in the financial industry that doesn't actually work for a lot of people. And I find this out a lot, and especially for women. It's not that women cannot achieve those things. It's just that we are just marginalized in such a way to achieve those things. So I want to talk about 3 things that the financial industry taught us that essentially doesn't work and has ended up being mistakes for certain people. Let's get into it. So the first one is budgeting fixes everything. Yes, it does if you are a robot. Yes, it does if you don't have life circumstances happen to you. Yes, it does if you come from a certain cultural background, if you're a certain color, if you're a certain gender. Now, all of the things I'm mentioning, they're not excuses. They are just what the facts are saying. So yes, budgeting is good. And I will always encourage all my clients to budget. But you need to understand, budgeting is you putting your money where it should go. Budgeting will not increase your pay. So if your expenses, the expenses you need to live is £800 and you're being paid £700, no amount of budgeting is going to account for the rest of the £100. So when people are like, oh, the reason why you are where you are is because you're not budgeting, that is a very, very simple, sometimes erroneous answer to why people are where they are. No, budgeting, yes, is needed, but budgeting won't fix everything, especially if, number one, the money is not enough. Number two, if you come from a certain background where you don't have access to other money, meaning if you mess up, you don't have a mommy or a daddy that's going to give you that money as a loan. Budgeting will work. There's so many scenarios that budgeting doesn't work for people. It doesn't mean that they shouldn't do it. It just means that it's not going to fix everything. What it does is it ensures that the money goes where it needs to go and you can see where you are. You can literally see where you are financially. It is a good step, but it's not going to fix everything. And the reason for your financial setback is not just because you do not budget. You can still budget and still be in debt. You can still budget and still not have enough. Stocks and shares are the only real investment. Now, this is coming from somebody who loves stocks and shares. I love stocks and shares, and I always say to people, and you know what? I wish stocks and shares, especially in this day and age, got more publicity. I feel like over the years, crypto has kind of taken the place, and property is like, for a long time, the industry made it as if it's the only investment. There was a time people wouldn't take you seriously unless you had stocks and shares as a finance person. Unless you were dealing with stocks and shares, people wouldn't take you seriously. But stocks and shares is not for everybody. It's not for everybody. What I like about it is that to enter is quite low. That's one thing I would say. To enter is quite low. But it's not for everybody. There's property. I never forget properties. I think I should have added properties to this one as well. Properties is not the only way. Like, there are so many investments that we are missing out on. And there's so many investments that culturally that we're even missing out on. Like, for example, investment in gold, right? Investment in gold. Investment in land, farmlands, buy a mine if you can. Like, there's so many investments out there that people don't even think of. I just mentioned a few. Investment in a business, you can actually buy businesses. I don't care what your risk level is, I don't care what you're interested in. There is an investment out there for you that can make you money. You just need to find out what that thing is. Or instead of telling people, oh, you know, the stock market is the best to invest in. Yes, it's the best to invest in if you are interested in it and you have the patience to learn about it. Some people don't. So that's why some people move to properties, right? And property has been seeing a rise. People, like a lot of millionaires, are into properties, real estate, right? So my point here is, as good as stocks and shares is, it's not the only investment. It's not the holy grail. It might not be your thing, and that's okay. Not just stocks and shares. Think outside the box when it comes to investing. Oh, this one wasn't really the finance industry. It was more like middle class people, I think, that a mortgage equals success. I am here to break it to you. No, it doesn't. First of all, I'm not a big fan of Kiyosaki, but I do agree with what he said. Your house is not an investment, it's a liability. Because when you sell that house, you're going to need another house to stay in, right? And one of the things I really don't like about this whole mortgage thing and, you know, you buying a house is people equate having the house to having money. No, you don't. Because, and they don't do the calculations for the house, right? So let's start with your personal house, right? So yes, you can make money on that house, right? So for example, you buy a house for 100k, right? Like 20 years ago. Now today is worth 400k. Excellent, you've made it to 100k. But the problem I always see is by the time you sell the house, first of all, you still have to pay all the different fees that you need to pay, right? And you still get taxed. Okay, cool. Then the rest, well, you still need another house anyways. Most people that I know that sold their house, oh, I sold the house for a lot of money, they didn't downsize. So eventually it just gets eaten up again. And I struggle to see where for me, I want tangible cash. I want raw cash. Do you get what I mean? I just struggle to see where the amount is. Usually, some people do downsize, or maybe they get the same kind of house. So when I say downsize, I mean like they bought a cheaper house, maybe somewhere else, and they were, yeah, okay, fair enough. But then those people, when they do get the profit, they think it's profit. But to me, as a business person, it's not profit. Why? Because all these years, I spent years, thousands and thousands of pounds fixing the house, and I even spent money fixing that house to sell the house, only for me to just pretty much, basically most people are actually breaking even. Now the worst are the people that have the buy to let, and the ones that had the buy to let, if you know what I mean. I'm not gonna say more than that. The money you're spending on the house, the money you're using to travel to the house and everything, you don't take it into account when you're actually putting it up for rent. And even without withstanding that, like, there aren't clear terms, like it's not being managed properly. When I account for the trips you're making there, the things that are broken that you're fixing, and because they don't even document all of this, when I account for all of that, you're making a loss, or better yet, you're breaking even. You're only going to make a profit when you sell the house. But then again, because you haven't accounted for all the money that you spent, when you do sell the house, you're not really making a profit. I feel like making a profit is when I could clearly see, like for my shares, I bought shares of £100 today, right? 5 years later, the shares that I bought for £100 is now worth £500. I sell it. Oh, by the way, before it was worth £500, I was getting maybe dividends of like maybe equivalent of £10 a year. And then eventually I sold it for like £500. Yeah, capital gains tax and all of that. Let's say you have to pay tax or whatever, or pay the fees, the Danish fees. Or coming back with like at least 300 or something pounds profit with doing nothing other than owning the shares. So that to me is profit. So I feel like other people are like, oh yeah, you know, you must have a mortgage, you must buy a house and everything. It may not also align to what you want to do. You just getting a mortgage doesn't equal success. It's how does that fit into your long-term goals? And yes, long-term goals can change, but if you know how it fitted into your long-term goal in the first place, when it does change, you have a better way of navigating the rest. I hope this video has helped. If it has helped, please like, comment and subscribe, and you know the rest. And I'll see you in my next video.